The 13 most common mistakes visitors make in San Francisco. Mistake number 1 is trying to drive in and around the city for a few different reasons. The first is that parking in San Francisco really expensive. If you're parking like at Pier 39, Fisherman's Wharf, it's gonna cost you $12 an hour on weekends or $60 a day. And then if you're staying in a hotel, that's gonna cost you a lot too. San Francisco, JW Marriott at Union Square, $73 a night for valet parking. So you've spent, if you're driving a car, like 120 bucks just to get here, and you haven't even seen anything yet. Also, when you do find yourself driving around, traffic can be pretty rough. There's a lot of stoplights, and so you don't get very fast in a car very quick. And the other big problem about bringing your car is that San Francisco is currently the car break-in capital of the USA, with over 70 cars broken into every day. They particularly target tourists because, well, tourists have luggage and backpacks in their trunk. And so if you are driving a car into the city, park at your hotel, leave it at your hotel, don't drive it around. If for some reason you're making a day trip into San Francisco and you have to park here and you wonder, Chris, where's a safe place to park? I have one recommendation for you. It is the Vallejo Street parking garage. Why? It's in the same building as the Central Police Station. But really your best bet for getting into the city if you're flying in is to take the BART from San Francisco or Oakland Airport, and then to get around the city, either walk or take the fairly reasonable public transportation. And the other good news is that rideshare is quite plentiful in San Francisco. You'll find a ton of Uber and Lyft rides available for you. Oh, and definitely don't make this parking mistake where you think this parking garage is just $5. It's $5 every 20 minutes. Common tourist mistake number 2, speaking of public transportation, is thinking that the cable car is a good transportation option. It is not a good transportation option. Don't think of the cable car as transportation. Think of the cable car as a theme park ride. It is scenic, it is fun, but if you're boarding at the main boarding point at Union Square, going over to Fisherman's Wharf, you may very well spend an hour waiting in line for the cable car. I am not kidding. The lines can be super long because they only leave every 10 minutes. There's only so many people that want to go on them. But when you come to San Francisco, you do need to take them at least once, but just know you're going on it as a ride and not really to get anywhere quick. When you do ride it, try to get there early in the morning. That's when the lines are shortest. And if you don't want to do the touristy line to Fisherman's Wharf, the line that has even less people on it and much shorter lines is the California line. You can pick that one up near the ferry building at the Embarcadero stop. The third mistake is not bringing good footwear on your trip to San Francisco. San Francisco is a very hilly city, and even though the public transportation is decent, it doesn't take you everywhere, and so you're going to be doing a lot of walking up decent hills like this. And you might look at Google Maps, and Google Maps says it's just 3 blocks or half mile, and you're like, that is easy. And you know what, it does sound easy until you get here and you realize that the route that it's going to take you on is a hill like this that then turns into a staircase. And so if you didn't bring good footwear, your feet are going to be killing you at the end of your first couple days. Don't be nursing those blisters. Bring your good broken-in shoes. Mistake number 4 is not preparing for cold and wet weather. This one particularly gets visitors when they come to San Francisco in the summer. They have an image of California being warm and sunshiny, and then they get to San Francisco and find out it's cold and it's wet pretty much all year round. And the fog. San Francisco is like the foggiest city in the USA, and when this fog rolls in, it's wet and it just chills the bone. You are going to want to bring long sleeves and long pants, whatever season you come. Yes, even in the summer. And the fog is so common that fog actually has a name. The residents of San Francisco have named the fog Carl. Carl the Fog. Honestly, it's true. You can look it up. Mistake number 5 is going swimming at the beach without a wetsuit. Unless you're a polar bear. The ocean water temperature in San Francisco, really cold. In the summer, the warmest it gets is 60 degrees Fahrenheit, and in the winter, January, December, the temperatures can be in the low 50s, really quite cold. If you didn't bring a wetsuit and you do want to swim in the ocean water, you can rent wetsuits. Many of the surf shops will rent them for like $15 a day. And by the way, I stood next to this restaurant because it's in North Beach, but North Beach, turns out there's no beach near here. This is actually the kind of Italian community where some of the best Italian restaurants are in San Francisco, just next to Chinatown. Mistake number 6 is eating crappy touristy food. There's too much good food in San Francisco to waste your stomach space on tourist garbage, and you'll find the epicenter of tourist garbage down in Fisherman's Wharf, where the restaurants have their menu in 13 different languages, How do you find the good restaurants? Well, you don't use TripAdvisor to find the best restaurants. Those are going to be the ones that are popular with tourists. The way you find the really good restaurants in San Francisco is on Yelp, sort it by number of reviews. You know, the restaurants that have the most reviews are generally going to be pretty good. Or look around, find the places with the long lines. And now, if you're looking for some of the best Chinese food, Chinatown is a good spot, but the Richmond district, even better. Now, speaking of Fisherman's Wharf, that's the subject of the next mistake. Many visitors to San Francisco only visit Fisherman's Wharf and think that's the real San Francisco. Fisherman's Wharf is cool. It's neat to see. It's one of the top attractions, but it's definitely manufactured for tourists. It's got everything a tourist would need. It's got clam chowder in bread bowls and a Hard Rock Cafe and a wax museum too. But seriously, if you are going to visit San Francisco, even only for a day, even only for a few hours, visit Fisherman's Wharf and someplace else too. Mistake number 8 has to do with this little island out here. What's this island? This is the island of Alcatraz, and if you want to go to Alcatraz, it would be a mistake not to make your reservation in advance. While there are a ton of companies that offer and advertise Alcatraz tours, most of them only take you in a boat around the island and don't actually dock at the island. There is only one ferry company that you can book with that'll take you on the island so you can tour the prison, and that is Alcatraz City Cruises. You'll want to book your ticket and ferry about a week in advance. The next common mistake is not making reservations for restaurants. San Francisco has always been a reservation required city, but even more so during the pandemic and after the pandemic. If you want to eat at one of San Francisco's high-end restaurants, definitely make a reservation. Many of them that used to take walk-ins before the pandemic don't anymore, and you might want to make those reservations for some of the most sought-out restaurants in San Francisco up to a month before you get here. You can make a lot of reservations online. Yelp will book a lot of reservations directly, and OpenTable is a good spot to find reservations too. When in doubt, make a reservation. I've got a reservation tonight for China Live. Am I going to eat there? I don't know, but I made it just in case I can't find anything else. Mistake number 10 is carrying only cash and expecting you'll be able to buy things and eat in San Francisco. This is another big pandemic change, but ever since the pandemic, when people thought money was dirty, many restaurants and shops have gone to accepting card payments only. Visa or MasterCard are gonna be your best bets, but it would also be a mistake to not bring cash, because while there are just as many restaurants and shops that have gone cash only, there's also a number of places like in Chinatown where cash is king and that's all they accept. So you'll need cards and you'll need actual money to really get around and eat and shop in all of San Francisco. The 11th common tourist mistake is accidentally wandering into the Tenderloin. The Tenderloin is San Francisco's roughest and sketchiest neighborhood, and it's pretty easy to accidentally wander into it because it's just right to the west of Union Square. One block you're in super touristy San Francisco, and the next block you're in something pretty rough. So unless you are really going to something in the Tenderloin, you might want to avoid it. OC girl, she made this mistake. She was staying at the Westin Union Square, decided to walk a couple blocks to City Hall, made one turn down a street, and quickly was like, I don't think this is really where I want to be. Mistake number 12 is not seeing the real Chinatown. Chinatown is one of San Francisco's big attractions, and most people, when they visit it, only go down Grant Street, the main thoroughfare. And it makes sense because that's the one that has the gate on it, that's the one that has the lanterns across it, but the real Chinatown you're gonna find down the alleys right here. This is Ross Alley. It's got the home to this place, which is generally regarded as the inventor of the fortune cookie in North America. Stockton Street also has a lot of great Chinese markets to check out. If you're looking for public restrooms in Chinatown, you're gonna find them right here at Portsmouth Square. You'll also find a big parking structure right underneath, and you'll find people playing cards, mahjong, and doing Tai Chi in the morning. Mistake number 13 is referring to San Francisco as Frisco or San Fran. Don't do it. This is San Francisco. You can abbreviate it as SF, or you can refer to the whole area as the Bay Area, but the locals definitely get a little bit cranky if you call it Frisco or San Fran. But the final mistake you'd be making if you're coming to San Francisco is not watching more Yellow Productions videos. You can check out my favorite dim sum restaurant, Palette Tea House, right here, or you can check out my walking tour of Fisherman's Wharf. If you're gonna go there, you probably are, you're gonna wanna make sure you go to the places that aren't tourist traps and that are pretty cool to see. Well, as usual, I won't say goodbye because I'll see you in one of those videos.